What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bingetown TV and our coverage of HBO's House of the Dragon. So this is episode 4, The Red Dragon and the Gold. I am your host, let's say, loosely dubbed Sir Kyle, subject matter expert. Both of those are very loose terms. Joined by Lenny the Cruel and Luke, as always. Episode 4. Very hyped up. Lots of excitement and reviews building up into this episode as it came out. So just what are our 35,000 feet takes?
This was the best episode of House of the Dragon. It seems to be unanimous that most people would agree that at least the best of the season. Right now for IMDb, it's sitting at a 9.7, which is all-time episodes of television. There's actually only 4 Game of Thrones episodes that are even ranked higher than it. So according to IMDb, which take it with a grain of salt, this is a top 5 episode of all time for the Thrones universe. I thought this had a little bit of everything. We had some dragons, some small council meetings, some subtle world building, betrayal, death, visions, everything you could ask for from like a high fantasy show. And it pretty much hit on all cylinders. I have one subtle complaint, and I'll save that for a little bit later. That's part of my hot take there. And as I rewatched it the second time, I found myself completely agreeing with the community. I thought this episode was phenomenal. I liked it even more the second time. The last 15 minutes was just the best action that money could buy. And man, RHAENYS is solidified as not just my favorite character of House of the Dragon, but she's an all-timer in the Thrones universe. I am going to be so sad that we're going to have to watch some Team Black council meetings without her. But hopefully this is a good catalyst that kicks Corlys into gear and we get Rhaenyra sending more dragons. Maybe Jace jumps out there. So I'm just looking forward to the ramifications of this. And I'm also looking forward to Team Green grieving over whatever happened to Aegon and the dragon and the king and whatever Aemon's going to do going forward. So whatever I'm trying to say right now, this episode was amazing. And Kathleen, I know you didn't necessarily agree when Dave said this might be a top 3 episode of all time for him. Are you still there after a second watch, or like where'd you land?
Yeah, we watched together. It was really fun. I love when we do that. But first of all, I just want to say I'm leaning the cool today, but I was gonna be the whore of Dragonstone. But I figured maybe we'll just keep leaning the cruel, so it says my actual name. But I am the whore
your
of
government name,
Dragonstone.
Lenny.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this episode, like Kyle said, got a ton of hype. Now on my second watch, I agree with the hype, and it's hard for me to say top 3 episodes. I haven't seen Thrones. Are you saying top 3 of House of the Dragon or Thrones? Thrones, right?
I was asking about, because that's what Dave, friend of the podcast, of the podcast, other podcasts are not on this.
Right?
Yes, he meant it was one of his favorite episodes of all time across Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I can't say that. That's crazy. But I will say part of my thing is, so I wasn't let down by the episode at all. The hype was there. We all knew to be together, watch it together. But the thing about the hype is not that I was let down, but that it felt so spoilery, where I'm like, who's dying? How many people are dying? Soon as our girl RHAENYS was like, we're off to battle again, old girl. I'm like, oop, she's dead. Too sweet of a moment. I immediately was like, dead. But I thought that about Aegon. You think about anybody, right? And you're just expecting that to happen. But man, this was an excellent episode. And it's one of those things where I'm just now realizing in this moment that I don't think I'm going to get a happy ending for the show. Like RHAENYS, like that hurt me deep both times. I was listening to like other podcasts. I was listening to it was hurting me to think about. And on the second watch, I almost cried on the second watch. I couldn't believe how emotional I was getting. I don't remember getting that upset about anybody in House of the Dragon, in Game of Thrones. Ever.
And the Red Wedding didn't do that to you?
No, I don't think sadness. Like RHAENYS feels like fam to me, and she died. Whereas Red Keep was fucking sick, Red Wedding was fucking sick. But yeah, Kai, I'll let you go before. I have so much to say about RHAENYS, but we'll get there.
Yes.
Kai, what'd you think?
Yes, we will. I really enjoyed it. I think that I was conscious about not becoming a victim of my own expectations. I understood the reviews were incredibly glowing, and like Luke mentioned with the IMDb rating, it seems like it's kind of, they were not wrong to be that way, but I was in my head being like, don't go crazy, don't go crazy, don't go crazy. And I think I love the way they did it. I thought the dragon fighting was unbelievable. Just the CGI looked fantastic, and that's kind of all we can really hope for when it comes to the dragon fighting, just because of how expensive and time intensive I'm sure it all is. So the dragon fighting looked great. I thought Kristen Cole was fantastic. Rhaenyra is now turning this corner to where the gloves are kind of off, and it's just we're getting this real dance now. We were dancing around the war, but now we're way past any point of return, which is just fantastic. Although it's sad to watch, and there will be more sad moments, Lean, for you to potentially cry over, but it just feels good. We're in the thick of it right now. Every Sunday.
It's good. We're halfway
All right.
there.
Yeah. Crazy to say, because we waited so long for it to be here. But we're going to move now into just our episode summary. We missed last week because I am not so good at time management and my executive function doesn't really work that great. So this is this week's. So this is episode 4, The Red Dragon and the Gold. Damon plays Luigi's Mansion. Rhaenys admires Alan of Hull and fantasizes about his mom. Jace defends his Lady Baela while grilling his mom. Rhaenyra finally realizes that this is a game of throne where she wins or dies. Alicent orders Moon Tea on Uber Eats. Aemon confronts Aegon about skipping his High Valyrian lessons on Duolingo. Alicent confronts Aegon about being an idiot. Aegon gets drunk and rides to battle like an idiot. Sir Kristen Cole, a.k.a. the Kingmaker, a.k.a. the Westerosi Wayne Gretzky, adds Duskendale to his W column. Legend. Meleys and Rhaenys kill a ton of people. Aemon throws a late 4th of July cookout with a menu of BBQ Aegon, and Vagar snacks on Meleys.
That's good.
And that is episode 4. So we're going to get into it right now with our kind of breakdown, scene by scene type of stuff. Just a reminder, if you are maybe listening for the first time, we do this literally every episode, but the way we talk about the show is we do it into buckets. Typically, we had done Team Green, Team Black, because the show had kind of really broken down those clean lines. This is our first episode, and we knew this was coming, where it kind of developed into we're all over the place, and we're more location-based than we are team-based. So Luke, thankfully, gave us this nice structure of buckets. So we're going to talk about Harrenhal. Then we'll talk about all the things that happen on Dragonstone / Driftmark. We'll talk about what goes on in King's Landing. And then we'll talk about the Kristen Cole bucket, which I'm going to just dub all the things with Rook's Rest, rather, and what Cole is getting up to. So the first bucket for us to talk about is going to be Damon and Harrenhal. Oh, and shout out to Discord user Manu for the Luigi's Mansion reference, because that was not mine. That was all his. But the first, I think we want to talk about just this initial Damon vision. So just we get young Millie Rhaenyra back, which I think we were all like kind of audibly surprised at when we watched this episode. So she's just continuing to tease him basically about like his inner subconscious machinations that are going on.
And I think what's going on, because we later get a vision of him seeing his second wife, Lena. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if he's feeling guilty about both letting down Rhaenyra and how she came to be in this position that she's currently in, plus letting down his previous wife and kind of messing up being the father of Baela and Rhaena. Geez, I'm messing the names up all over the place, or maybe not yet. I don't think I messed it up.
You were good.
They're close.
You were good there.
Yeah, okay. So I think everything is just starting to eat at him alive, like from the inside. And because he's not part of these major events that are going on elsewhere in Westeros, and Matt Smith is the man, he's like the front man of this show besides Rhaenyra and Alicent, they have to give him something interesting. And this may coincide with your hot take, Kathleen, but I think not only like was Damon probably the worst part of this episode because it was way too much time in fake vision land and foreshadowing and prophecy kind of things. Like he's been a little bit of a disappointment as like based on my expectations through the whole first half of this season. And that's fine, because I'm sure he has plenty to shine through later seasons or later episodes. But so far, like this is kind of par for the course, where I think this is the most boring part of the episode. Not that it was bad. It's still well done and still Matt Smith, but I didn't take too much out of it besides what we got from the message of last episode, where he feels guilty and feels like he needs to make a change to help Team Black. And that's just where I'm at right now. Yeah,
I agree. Question for you guys. Do you think that if Damon was at Dragonstone, then Damon would have been the one to take Caraxes to... Right, yeah, because Caraxes is better than Meleys. Bigger, sorry, not better. Sorry, girl.
Bigger. I think they would have went together.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, they were gonna take episode 1. Damon's like, "We're fucking riding and we're killing Vhagar. Let's get that old bitch going."
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Damon for sure would have been there, and definitely just because he was there wouldn't mean that RHAENYS couldn't go.
So true. And I think those that would have been sick to see those two tag team. That's actually a really big miss, I think, that we can't get. But yeah, Luke, I agree. For me, it was just all guilt. The only interesting one, which was popping off in the Discord as well, was what was Damon seeing Damon with the eye patch. Is it something like he was basically seeing himself as Aemond? What did you guys read as that?
I actually saw a funny take online where I doubt it's true, but someone was saying that he's literally the type of guy that knows he doesn't like Aemon, but forgot what he looked like, so he just envisions himself on it. It also could be foreshadowing, which that would be crazy if 2 of our Targaryens end up with the eye patch. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but other than that, Matt Smith was probably like, "Yo, sign me up with that cool ass eye patch. I want to be a pirate."
Yeah,
got his old long wig back.
Yeah, definitely not bad for a day on set. If I'm honest, I don't know if I thought too deep about it, just because I feel like I'm typically watching the show more to like be almost like a referee for like your questions on like actual book matters. So like something like this isn't explicitly discussed in the book. It's kind of more where when we get to the small council in King's Landing later, where there's kind of like Dragonstone, I'm sorry, Harrenhal will just be like a mess for Damon, and that's kind of really what we get out of it. So I personally really enjoy these scenes. I really like the vision, old god, weirwood tree type of magic in Game of Thrones, because the original show didn't give it to us a ton until the end, where they literally had to, because that's what's the point of the entire show. So I don't know if I read too far into the individual visions. I think I'm just more enjoying that they're happening. But I do understand, especially when you compare them to the other scenes that we get, that you could say that they're the weakest ones.
Yeah, and I'll say like the Alice Rivers thing is still interesting to me. Like I'm looking forward to expanding on her character. She didn't give us much this episode besides the fact she's the acting maester there. We got to meet the Tully heir too, which was also almost nothing. It kind of continued what we thought was going to happen, because Grover wasn't going to come down here and actually have like a meeting with Damon. So all of that just felt like a means to just progress Matt Smith in the episode. There was this next scene, I could be way jumping ahead, after he ends up taking the potion and like flashing forward in time to where he's meeting one of the Blackwoods.
Yes.
And I'll stop there if I'm going
no,
too
you're
fast.
good.
Like, yeah,
honestly, once we started talking about it, we can just talk about everything at once. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, let's just keep going, because I saw that this ended up being the little kid that we loved from season 1.
He killed the bigger kid, right?
Yes, the guy that was making fun of him when he was courting Rhaenyra, because he mentions that he was trying to get Rhaenyra's hand in this scene. So I didn't know that until the second watch, which I love that little Easter egg. But at the same time, Damon's having these visions. Like, is any of this real, or is he tripping out because of Alice? Like, Kathleen, what was your vibe from after he takes that potion she was mixing together?
Well, I'm going to shout out Discord member Verita Theorem. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. About taking the drink. It's so funny. It's like, you're just gonna sip that drink after literally last episode you show up, they make you a delicious dinner, and you're like, I'm not fucking eating this, I'm not getting poisoned. It's like she's like smashing up like what seems like guts and blood. It could be berries, who's to say. So stupid to drink that.
I thought that was like kind of him being under a spell, though. It almost seemed like he was being coerced into doing that rather than just blindly taking it. But I don't know what her deal is.
Yeah, I could see that as well. I really like her. And again, just like when she was like, "You're gonna die here," and I took her at that as Bible. She's like, "I'm a bar now." I'm like, facts.
Yeah. Transfiguration
from Greek mythology, just like
That's funny. That is funny. I also thought it was interesting that she is pretty much making it as he walks in. Like, it's not like she changes what she's doing as he walks in, but the end result is the tonic, the potion that she gives to him. I just thought that was an interesting little wrinkle in there. I thought she was awesome. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just been he's gone through X amount of nights with terrible sleep, so maybe he's more pliable to ingesting things. He's obviously eaten since he arrived in Harrenhal, so like maybe at the start he was like, I don't want to be poisoned, and then realized that I have to actually eat things.
And that's a good point, because he has been spending time here, because we found out earlier that that Kristen Cole's army has tripled in size since he's left and been running around the Crown Lands. That's pretty important because that's just subtly happened and it doesn't feel like time passed, but there's been some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damon's
And
such a little bitch. Go help the cause. What the fuck?
Yeah, and Alice Rivers says in their conversation, she reads him like a book. She is fairly observant in that she knows he is fighting with Rhaenyra because he hasn't sent a single raven. They talk about it at the council scenes as well, but it's been long enough that he's there that it's weird that he's not communicating at all with Team Black. He's just kind
he
of
better
on an island out there.
rally the Riverland troops. Otherwise, this seems like a pointless venture. But I think that's probably the end goal of what he'll end up doing in Harrenhal is getting Grover and all them together.
Yeah.
Like
so essentially, this ends with, while he's still kind of loopy, it does end in a positive for Team Black, where Sir Willem Blackwood, who is the young gentleman from season 1, who now we see he's growing a little bit of facial hair, more than I can, whatever. It's not a big deal. And he basically says, if you give us or help us get revenge on the Brackens, then like our army is yours. Just one little pit stop on the way, just to ruin our ancient rivals. And then let's get it like full speed ahead. Rhaenyra, Team Black, rah, rah, rah. And then just very quickly as well, just to mention Oscar more than just like a passing breath, they changed a little bit of the lineage here. So Oscar in the books is actually Grover's great grandson. So they kind of skipped a generation here. And then he's technically a younger brother in the book. So I'm just keeping an eye out for how they might be shifting some family dynamics. I really hope that means they're not getting rid of characters because his brother is awesome. So maybe he'll end up being just the younger brother.
What's the brother's other name? Is that like a spoiler?
That's a spoiler, yeah.
I was going to say,
it's great when we get it.
Oscar and Grover, are they not both Sesame Street characters? Am I making that up?
They are Muppets, yes.
Oh, they're Muppets, yeah.
Yes. Well, actually, that's a lie, but that is what. Now that I say that out loud, they're Sesame Street characters, but when you look it up online on the wiki, it mentions the Muppets.
Aren't
they all
No,
Muppets?
Oscar the Grouch and
yeah, are they all Muppets? I don't know.
I don't remember, but I just thought that just
help us out in the comments. Maybe are all Sesame Street characters Muppet? Is it like a square and a rectangle type of thing? I actually don't know. That's really interesting.
Could
be.
I want to just say that it's really nice to see Lena again because we've been seeing Millie. It's been such a joy to bring that actress back. I really loved Lena. Gone too soon. I just think it's really relevant in this episode, and it hits only because one, Vagar's causing all this stuff. Vagar was Lena's dragon. RHAENYS dies this episode. Spoiler alert. Lena, is obviously her daughter. Like, there's just like, it was cool to see her in this episode. Although all of the stuff, like you said, Luke, with Damon, I'm not loving it. Although I do like later when Laris says like Aegon's throwing a fit, and Laris is like, first of all, that place is more crippled than I am. And second of all, like, Harrenhal is beyond Damon's faculties. He's going to be fucking cuckoo Mashua by the end.
It's like a good distraction for Team Green that he's there.
Exactly. Because it's just funny to me. And I guess not funny, but that Laris is like, that place is fucking haunted as shit. Like, he's not going to be okay there. And I like that he knows that about the place because obviously he's the lord of it. But
Yeah, good knowledge there. And just want to make sure we call this out or comment on it because it made me laugh. And it's classic Damon. Just at least, everything is going crazy around him and he's going crazy himself, but he has moments of let's call it lucidity where he is himself when he just says to Oscar, like, can you just like smother him so we can get on with this? Like, and he's like, he's like my dad. He's like, I don't care. Yeah, we got a war to fight, bucko. You're an yo used to be then, basically. And he was like, okay. Sorry, boss. All right. So that's going to move us into our Dragonstone / Driftmark bucket. Did I say slash right? Doesn't matter. And the first scene is going to be RHAENYS meets Alan of Hull. She knows. That's all I'm going to say here. Just pass it to you guys. What do you guys think about this?
Kathleen, go take it because we were audible at this scene.
This was so funny because at first approach, we were all like, why is she like super into Alan? Like, she wants to fuck Alan. But then we were like, oh, fuck. Like, that's a bastard child of Corlys. I guess what I didn't quite understand is that it was like during RHAENYS and like a cheating moment. Alan looks old as fuck. Like he could have been a bastard child of Corlys from when he was like 15 for all I know.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like for some reason it didn't click to me just because Alan looks so old. But if also what's Alan's brother's name? Like
Adam?
Adam, if Adam's also his bastard brother of Corlys, Adam does look younger. So it seems like, it's not a one-time thing, it's a two-time thing. If he was just like out there with this presumably the same woman cheating on RHAENYS, that was like a huge moment. I had no idea that, because they're the couple that works. They're the only couple of the entire Game of Thrones franchise, pretty much. So
my two comments for this is that was not something that was even remotely on my radar. And maybe it was because of the age difference that kind of threw me off just visually, but
yeah,
it makes so much sense because he's bald. You would never see the white hair, so it wouldn't give that away right there. And it also makes sense that they've been linking this so much to sea smoke flying around, and like you're seeing them, like he is a very viable candidate to take a dragon now if he has the Valyrian blood in him. And it seems like RHAENYS confirms that. And then to take it a step farther of how RHAENYS is the best character in Game of Thrones and such a progressive mind, she wants to praise this kid versus thinking back to Game of Thrones where Catelyn Stark finds out about Jon Snow and she's like, this is the worst kid in the world, I want to kill him. So
yeah, Catelyn could never.
RHAENYS is like, she is the queen that should have been, man. Like she absolutely would have steered this ship right into peace for another million years. Game of Thrones would have been like a cakewalk taking out the others.
Yeah, that's all fair. I thought that it was a little heavy-handed, maybe episode like 2, when we first meet Adam and they're talking about Corlys, and Adam's like, he owes us, like he owes you and all this type of stuff. And then Alan just steers the conversation to food right away. And I was surprised that they give this info to RHAENYS before. I mean, I guess it adds a level of tragedy maybe to the whole situation, but it happens like later on in the story. So I thought this was really interesting that it sped up a lot, where we're told as the audience that these are Corlys's bastard children.
But I guess that kind of breaks my theory with Adam not having white hair, right?
Yeah, because correct. I was gonna say that.
So I take all that back. I don't know.
I mean, it's not a guarantee that you would have white hair.
That's true.
Like RHAENYS in the books actually has black hair.
Oh shit!
That
no
was
way.
okay.
Yeah, she has black hair. Well, she's a Baratheon. She's Targaryen and Baratheon, so she ended up getting jet black hair. And I think she might have like streaks of white in it, like a
hot,
sexy badass. Yeah. So
wait. So in the books, RHAENYS doesn't know about the bastard children.
Not to my knowledge, no. I don't think she does. It happens after, like later on, that we get told about it, and it's like they imply that when you learn about them, it's kind of the first time Corlys ever like brings them into like the light. Like they're always just working at the docks and no one knows who they are.
Interesting. Okay. Damn.
I felt like they were random, but this connection makes a lot of sense. It's just in hindsight now it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I just like RHAENYS' line of like he should be raised up to a place of honor, not hidden beneath the tides. That just felt like her husband's sailor way of talking, like just over time finding its way into her own vocabulary, which I thought was kind of cute, but maybe not given the circumstances of the conversation. I don't know. And that's where I'll leave that. So then we move into this kind of first council scene, which the ethos, let's say, of this scene is just Baela and Jace are kind of struggling to wrangle this Black Council. And then Corlys kind of comes in and has his swag and gets to respect as like the man, because RHAENYS is struggling a little bit too. So that was like the theme I took from this.
And my question is, Alfred, I think his name is, he's an asshole, but he says makes some good points every once in a while. Why is there no named hand yet? Is Damon the hand?
RHAENYS. No.
That seems to be King Consort and the Hand, if that's even his title. I don't even know. But like, it feels weird to me. I agree that they should have a hand that could be acting on behalf of RHAENYS or Rhaenyra in this exact situation. So I don't know why someone's not the hand.
Yeah, it feels like maybe just like I would say in all but name only, but it may be just an oversight of Rhaenyra, maybe a way to show she's maybe a little bit in over her head, or at the very least the emotional aspect of everything that's happening is impacting her in some way.
And That's fine, and I kind of agree with that. But like you guys just said, that RHAENYS is the acting hand without being the hand. But that's the exact problem: is she wasn't
Mhm.
coined the hand. Otherwise, this whole
Yep.
conversation and Alfred rebelling openly wouldn't have happened. So I just think
For
that
sure.
that should be one of the highest priorities: is have have Jace be your heir, and then have a backup hand, just so you have everything in place in case you do want to be a little bit riskier.
I gotta say, since we're bringing up Jays, the fucking Team Black just outfits are so much better. The costuming in black and red, Jace looks fucking insane. Jace
Yes,
looks
Yeah.
awesome, like
dude.
so sick. The across the chest, like the
People have
it's so
been
good.
calling it out too, where the way he stands with his sword is exactly the way Damon does when like he like rests his hand on like the handle, the hilt. That's not the word for it, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. Sir Kyle's on it. And it's just perfect. He just looks, I really like Jace. I thought he was great in these scenes. He's
Me
really
too.
trying to defend Bela too, which I thought was endearing as well, where he is saying like, we wouldn't know any of this without Bela. And then Sir Alfred's like, well, what do we even know, bro? And it's like, I have a dragon, bitch. That's what we know. Fuck you.
Kyle, question, because I also agree. Jace is starting to be a presence that I love to just see on screen. Like his actor is starting to just show, like, be a presence in each scene. Did he give you some Paul Atreides vibes right in this scene where
Yeah,
he's
the
got
hair
the
too.
hair flow back, just the
Yeah.
confidence as he's learning to be politically savvy? I loved it all.
Mhm.
I was thinking Dune the entire time.
Yeah, the hair. The hair is
Mhm.
an easy way to make that comparison.
Yeah.
He absolutely got the confidence. I'm like, where did he? There's one point
Yeah.
where Rhaenyra is like, okay, then I'll go. And Jace is like, you can't fucking go. Like the way
Yeah.
he like reacts, he's almost acting like a teenager at court. You know what I mean? Like at the small council, he's acting like a teenager, but like a wise one, right? But he doesn't know how to hide his teenageriness when he is like rolling his eyes, being like, "Mom, what the fuck are you talking about?"
He's
Yeah,
killing
and
it.
we can
It's hilarious.
move right into all more of that. I mean, that's pretty much the
Mhm.
next scene here is that when you're returning, because I believe it's not actually the same council scene, or maybe
Mhm.
not because of the way the show breaks down. Doesn't really matter. But she interrupts Jace when he's talking, and he finishes it like Kathleen is saying with a little bit of sass, where he says, like, you know, to fight the war your vassals have been fighting in your place and all this stuff. And then when she reveals where he was, and he's like, "What?" Like he gets so upset, and
Mhm.
he just doesn't hide it. He wears his heart in his sleeve, and I just really like him
Definitely.
as a character.
Me too.
So we're talking about the whole second. It was a whole separate council
Mhm.
meeting, which is fine. A couple of more things happen in the second one that I think are worth pointing out. One
Yeah.
being Missaria is spying, and I don't
Mhm.
know if she's spying like she's going to use this information against them, because I will be visibly furious when we're covering the episode of that House of the Dragon moment where she does something against Team Black. But I think she could also be trying to gain information so she could help Rhaenyra and take the initiative, and then maybe get pulled onto the council, which would be more ideal. I just don't know what's going on with Miss Arya. It seems like there's no reason she should be acting against Rhaenyra.
She's also, oh no, isn't she on the council? Shouldn't she just be like at the table? Isn't she like
I don't
essentially
think so.
her? Didn't she ask to be a part of it last episode?
I guess I could say yeah, but I don't know if she has an official title or anything, and you could argue it's maybe more beneficial for her not to be around,
True.
visibly around. Because if her
Yeah.
job is master of whispers type
Whispers.
thing,
Yeah. Mhm.
then you don't really want to know. She doesn't want people to know that she's listening, essentially.
So there's a chance she's doing this with Rhaenyra's permission.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, they show her before Rhaenyra comes in, right? Or am I wrong in that?
Yeah. She was
because
there
they're
at the
like
beginning of the scene. Yeah.
yeah, they're still kind of having. She seems to be keeping an eye on the council members more than anything else. Where like
Okay.
does
I can
something
buy that.
elevate to the point of treason? Who am I keeping
Mhm.
an eye on? Sir Alfred Broom seems like the type of guy that you want to keep an eye on because he doesn't seem very happy.
Mhm.
Things like that. Yeah.
I'm good with all that then.
Mm-hmm. And we finally get the explicit words from Rhaenyra where she says, needed to be sure before ending 80 years of peace, and only one choice remains. Either I win my claim or I die.
Yeah.
There it is right there. So
Mhm.
she,
And
like Luke mentioned earlier too, she wants to go. Jace's reaction to that, like Kathleen mentioned, actually hilarious. Made me laugh out loud the second time I watched. It's like eye roll, and it's just like so good.
It's so funny.
Yeah. He has to like gentle
Iconic.
parent her almost, but not gently. He has to like parent her though, which is pretty funny.
Mhm.
this is the moment where I started really hoping that Rhaenyra was going to send multiple dragons. I was a little disappointed she didn't. I think she should have sent Baela and RHAENYS, just double the dragon power. But I guess their whole mindset is that they think this is going to be a complete surprise attack and all of the Team Green Dragons are sitting in King's Landing. But
Yeah.
still, I don't know. To get the job done even more efficiently, I definitely would have been counseling her to send 2. You didn't even have to send Jace or Rhaenyra, but that's like my biggest complaint in this strategy, and it really causes some hardship for us later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know the exact, maybe like real world reference or type of military term, but it's probably really hard for them to actually field the dragons just because of how valuable they are. It's almost paradoxical. Like they're such a big swing on any singular battle that it feels like too much maybe to send more than one. I mean, Team Korea, it just happened by accident because Aegon's an idiot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it just is kind of maybe something like that. And we do get here that Rhaenyra is telling Jace about the Song of Ice and Fire. She's finally passing down the info air to air.
Mm-hmm.
Not really a ton there beyond the fact that we're just getting reminded that, quote unquote, this is what it's all for. Whether you like that or not, that is something that they are continuing to harp on. So, and yeah, I know Luke won't comment any further than that.
I do have one thing. If we're done with that, back
Mhm.
on Harrenhal. What's up with the goat? Anything?
You know what? I forgot to ask. I had it in my note. Is that goat real?
No,
I don't know if that was meant to symbolize something that it went over my head, like goats.
had to have been a symbol
Black
because
goat. Is it black goat something specific? I don't know.
Isn't that like devil related?
Maybe,
But like, I
Is it
don't think that
witch?
matters. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
is it
witch
something
devil.
like-
I don't think that matters in the context of Westeros. But
Or like
I honestly
Bahamut?
thought it was just showing it was just complete disarray and like no organization and
sure.
animals walking around. But it also could have been symbolism.
Yeah, it could
That-
be literally like Damon is getting assaulted in his dreams, and then when he wakes up, he's just constantly reminded by how much work needs to go
Yeah.
on in Harrenhal. He's like, "Oh my god, we got a goat on my floor right outside of my room. Like, what's going on, fellas?
Yeah.
Let's get it in shape. Let's get it in shape." Okay.
Okay.
So we do have, and Kathleen, if I'm not mistaken, you had a question about this that we decided we were going to wait to the podcast because Rhaenyra in this scene mentions 80 years of peace, and then
Yeah.
Meleys mentions. I mean, if she could have, she probably would have been like, "Yo," but RHAENYS mentions that Meleys is Team Black's largest dragon and no stranger to battle.
Yeah. My question was, if it's been 80 years of peace, what battles has Rhaenys and Meleys fought together? I texted it in the group thinking it was a really stupid question, so I wanted to like figure that out first, and then they said it was an okay question to ask.
Yeah,
Tell
I
me
said
about
that
it.
because I didn't know either.
Curtain,
Yeah, I
little
had
peek
no
behind the
idea.
curtain of what we do here. So when I was looking into it after you asked it, there are maybe like 3 to 4 wikis on Game of Thrones content. Some of them are more show centric. The one that I trust the most is a wiki of Ice and Fire. It's how I wrote all of those season 8 Game of Thrones emails back in the day when we used to do weekly recap Deathpool stuff. It just to me has the most detailed information about everything, and that didn't mention anything about Rhaenys and Meleys ever engaging in any type of combat. There was no combat for Meleys before Rhaenys with Aegon. Oh, I'm sorry. I the second time I've done that in 2 podcasts, but Damon and Viserys' mom used to ride Meleys.
Mhm.
She obviously wasn't getting into battle with Meleys. So I did see one wiki that just had a sentence that said Meleys and Rhaenys were involved in some battles with the Valyrian fleet.
Interesting.
Like some skirmishes out on the water, and maybe that's inference. I didn't really dig deeper through the citation like I should have, but that was the only reference I saw to any type of battle Meleys could have
And I
been in.
think that's fine because it's kind of implied that Corlys has seen battle too. But if you think about wartime it's been peaceful in Westeros, he probably did see battle. And if she was there to help,
Yeah.
that's good enough. Like
Yeah.
it still would be peaceful if there's no war, but a
Yeah.
couple of here or there battles makes sense of why she would say that and has the experience.
Yeah, and they don't count the Stepstones. That was a 3-year-long conflict.
Totally,
You
I
can
was
consider
gonna-
that
yeah.
a war, but they didn't consider that as breaking the peace.
Yeah.
I guess because it wasn't really a war on Westerosi soil. So
Mhm.
maybe they're using that more literal definition.
Yeah, I just got to say that we're off to battle again, old girl. All the old Valyrian in this episode was fantastic. On the second watch, watching her say that to Meleese and just all of the kind of dragon human interpersonal relationships in this, like even Sunfire getting Aegon a good giggle. I'm like, man, they're like they're trusted steeds and dogs, like and even Vhagar like shoving his face in the dirt when he was like pissed that he couldn't get up, and he's just like a frustrated puppy dog. Oh, sorry, she Vhagar, yeah. I just love it. The dragons in this episode were fan-fucking-tastic. Loved it.
Yeah, I agree. So that's gonna move us into our King's Landing bucket. The first small scene we have here, and I only bring this one out because we had some funny commentary to ourselves when we watched. This is Alicent getting her moon tea for a friend. Yeah, for a friend from the Grand Maester. And she kind of puts him on the spot here, which I thought was funny, but not sure if there's anything more to really add here, but just wanted to give the platform to do so.
So Alicent breaks the dragon figurine in this scene too, which was just such obvious foreshadowing. Didn't know what dragon was going to get fucked, but we knew something was going to happen. And also I've been seeing the term online that people have been coining is Plan T instead of Plan B.
That's good.
So that's Alicent's morning breakfast after nights with Kristen Cole.
Well, it's funny because
strong seed.
Goddamn. But
yeah.
I was wondering, was it like Plan T, or was it like, fuck, I'm pregnant, this is like an abortion drink? Like I didn't know which one it was, because I was seeing something online, people being like, oh fuck, Alicent's pregnant. I'm like, whoa.
I think it's like Plan B, where
exactly,
it's way too soon for her to know, right?
I mean, his army has tripled in size.
Yeah, his member tripled in size.
But when Alicent gave it to the servant that was also in this season for a second in the Ulf scene to get rid of the girl that what?
I just like how you made that little callback because we missed it in the episode.
It was so irrelevant, why I even had it written down.
I know, but just proven. Yeah, we saw it.
Yeah, well, like that was the night after, right? That Aegon basically sexually assaulted her.
Yeah, definitely. But it could be two different T's, right? Like the Maester can whip up whatever the fuck he wants. He's the Maester.
Yeah, I'm unsure if they have a different T. I think it's like a one size fits all.
It just destroys your digestive system and obviously makes you sick. Like there's no way it wouldn't back in this time.
Yeah.
And Alicent was like on one in this episode. When we get to the Aegon scene later, we'll talk more about it. But you see her and the repercussions of the conversation with Rhaenyra unwinding her. She's like studying books, looking for anything to say a Song of Ice and Fire, Aegon the Conqueror's dream. Like she's like, what the fuck? And yelling at Aegon.
She asked the Grand Maester right here. She's like, did you think that Viserys changed his mind? And he's like, what? Like I don't know. I don't think so. I couldn't begin to comment. It was a very diplomatic answer. He probably walked out of that room and gave just like the biggest sigh of relief of like, these people are gonna kill me. Like I know about Alicent wants to, have an abortion essentially. Now she's asking me if the war is righteous. Like, oh my God, send me back to the Citadel. All right. So
where I would want to live.
Yeah, that's fair. So we're going to move now. This is Aegon at the first small council, kind of having a little hissy fit, throwing a little tantrum here, where Aemond essentially ends up guiding the entire council in this scene. And Luke, we'll give you the floor first because you are our resident small council lover.
Dude, I was just going to say, we get 4 separate small council meetings between Team Green and Team Black this episode. I was loving life. That's my favorite form of the political slow burn of this show. But in the first scene, this was a little bit lesser than the second one. I think more comes of the second one, or maybe I'm mixing them up.
You're mixing them up.
I am mixing them up. So this is the important one where Aemond takes the show over and kind of just talks through the plan. But I wanted to point out here 2 things: that this is the first time that I've ever seen Larys on his back foot. While he does give a good answer of saying that Harrenhal's broke, like the castle's like a piece of shit, like Damon's going to be sidetracked, it felt like the first time where Larys didn't have the upper hand, which I enjoyed seeing him like kind of like eyes down, not really be so confident like he knows everything, where he had to defend himself a little bit. And you guys can comment on that in a second. But second, I just started Chernobyl and he is in the second episode for a second as
Nice.
just like a quick little cameo. I was looking at him without facial hair and talking all normal, and I was like, "Who is this guy?" And then it just clicked. And
He's
yeah,
great.
so
So
yeah. So
yeah, he is just a very interesting character, man. I really enjoy his scenes and what he brings to the show. And yeah, this was an interesting look, like you're saying, of he always has some type of power, and knowledge is power in a lot of ways, but this was probably a good reminder for him that power is also power.
Yeah.
yeah,
That
like
Aegon is
Aegon's
the king.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and if he wants it and wills it, then things tend to happen, even if they aren't rational and things like that. So they give us a lot of, maybe not a lot of, but a lot of reaction shots, his eyes, him pondering things, which I enjoy because it's like, what's that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also do think Luke Laris kind of playing, sad puppy dog eyes looking down is a play by him. You know what I mean? I also think that he knows exactly what he's doing at all times. So even when it seems like he's down and out, he's probably on the up and up,
Yeah,
And
he's
that
got
could
that
be
level
true.
of respect for you.
I like that that's in the repertoire of what he can do. Like I just meant like you never saw that character
Totally.
act like that. So
Mhm.
that was cool. But like
Mm.
switching gears over to the Aemon stuff where this is like his moment to shine. He has all the information. He's been boys with Cole. Cole's been feeding him all the details of what's going on and what they're planning. And this, I think, is the moment where they have it planned in the background of what they're going to be doing with the setting the trap for the dragon, right? Like, is this where that plan's really already in Aemon's mind, and he's just still faking Aegon out by telling him what they're going to bypass Harrenhal, go to the what's it called,
Rook's Rest.
Rook's Rest. I can't get that in my head. But even at this point, he's still lying to them, or at least not telling them the full truth. So on the second rewatch, it's really fun to see how much is going on behind Aemon's eyes when he's just also kind of getting a little bit of revenge from the whorehouse to Aegon by like saying, just relax. And then he belittles the hell out of him in High Valyrian, which was so cool. And then Aegon's response is like broken English in High Valyrian. He doesn't know anything, but at least he could understand it. Just a great scene. And it just goes to show, like on the rewatch, like Aemon has things together, and he's such a power player for the side.
What's interesting is, Aegon obviously didn't pay attention to Kai, like you said, his Duolingo, his High Valyrian teacher. Everybody else who's a dragon rider speaks to their dragon in High Valyrian. Aegon was like, forward, Sunfire. And to me, it's like part of speaking and connecting with your dragon, to me, felt like High Valyrian was necessary. But Aegon saying forward, I was like, I mean, it's consistent because he obviously doesn't know very much High Valyrian, but it did confuse me that he wasn't speaking High Valyrian to his dragon.
Yeah, that is something that's an interesting ripple effect. I don't know what basis of like canon that is. I don't think I'm forgetting a sentence from the books that's like Aegon didn't know High Valyrian or speak it very well, but I don't know. I mean, in my head, I'm not gonna be like it wasn't in the book, so I don't like it. I think the scene itself was worth it because it made me smile a lot. Aemon's
definitely.
big dog and it's so hard. He says Dracarys though, yeah.
Could you imagine if you're like fire?
Fire. You could argue that he said faster, and did Sunfire actually hear it and move faster?
True, that's so true.
No way to know, but she heard Dracarys, or he heard Dracarys, so
yeah. But I like to think that Meleys knew that RHAENYS was saying like, oh, we're going back to war, big girl. We're fucking going. Like, I like to believe that she could fully understand that sentence, but what do I know?
It'd be funny to see Meleys with, those like dog pads where they can hit the buttons and they say words. Just like Meleys versus Sunfire. Meleys be like, bang, bang, bang. Yeah. War, dragon, fire, treat.
I have a question for you, is the first scene where I think Aemon's actors called it the Shadow Council meeting between him and Cole.
Yeah.
When they're discussing on that map, is this foreshadowed? Okay, so that was already kind of shown with the pieces there. Okay, I totally didn't get that.
Yeah, this is the plan they're talking about in that scene. He even uses the same exact line in that, like, this war will be won not by dragons alone, by dragons flying behind hosts of men.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So this is exactly what him and Cole drew up it's just coming to fruition now that they ousted Otto and Cole has the power to actually enact it, or one of the two of them have the power to actually enact it.
Incredible. I love it.
Yeah.
Love.
And then Aegon obviously throws the wrench in it that wasn't entirely planned. But yeah, Aemon's just great in this scene. And just another little Laris moment here is that when Aemon says Cole sent word to me, they specifically pan to Laris, and he's the only one on the screen, and he has like a reaction to it. So he's obviously just clocking that for later, keeping that in the old back pocket. But I like that they did that. And then ending it with the big dog slam of "Don't you agree, my king?" And Aegon just looks at him and is like, "Yeah, you,
Fuck.
you." I remember you used to rat a pig. Okay, so the next conversation here is going to be Laris and Alicent here. This is Alicent, maybe in the middle of her transformation into what she becomes in the next scene. She's reading the books, like Kathleen says, and Laris has the upper hand on every single sentence that gets said in this scene, which I thought was interesting. And this to me is Thrones. This is what I love about the show. There's so much subtext being thrown out by these words that are said, and it's just so fun to think about all the actual implications of what they're saying.
Laris is always in Alicent's bedroom, like always in her most intimate space. It makes me feel like Alicent is just always on the defense, because it's like when someone comes into your room, you would think it's like, at least for a woman, like you would think it's an advantage, but it's really not. Like it makes me feel icky. I said it last night. I'm like, I'd be like, get the fuck out of my room, because Laris was like changing the subject every 2 minutes, but being like berating her basically with questions. And Alicent was like, I am quite literally like aborting a child right now.
Yeah. Lamprey Power.
Terrible way of saying it, but it's true. And Alicent was, to me in this scene, not really caring about how she was coming off. She's just like talking to Laris, like, it is what it is at this point. Like she's like almost had it in this scene, and she wasn't her full self, which is what he calls her out for. And she's like, bitch, I've been through it. Give me a sec.
Yeah. That was the first time where it felt like she had knew what to say, and there didn't leave him any meat on the bone. Where there's nothing he could have that is somewhere where he changes the subject immediately after, because there's really nothing there for him in that response. Go ahead. Luke,
he keeps prodding, and like you already said, like the undertones are all like he's hitting every subject. He's implying he knows about Cole. He even goes on to say like, oh, like I guess that's how Viserys changed his mind the last couple of days, which she's been toying with in her head the entire time. But it ends with Alicent saying the thing that lost me even more than I've already been. And I know, Kathleen, you disagree, but when she ends this whole conversation by saying the significance of Viserys' intentions died with him, like I like that she's still looking through the histories, because it seems like she is trying to justify what she did, and that's all I want out of her. So if she continues on that path, she can slowly get me back. But the second she's just like, doesn't matter, like we're too far gone, like I fucked this up, but now we're gonna lean into it, that's when I can't justify rooting for her, just because Team Black has the upper hand both morally and ethically and legally in that situation. But yeah, I mean, I already said my whole spiel last podcast about this.
Let me try and change your mind. I liked that line, and it's because I've fully come around to the fact that, yeah, Alicent fucked it up, but we've already talked about Alicent fucking it up just made it easier for Otto to go through with the plan he already had. Like, if Alicent didn't hear Viserys say that, they were still going to usurp the fuck out of Rhaenyra's throne. So, like,
yeah, I agree.
Alicent personally, yeah, like she fucked it up.
That's what I'm commenting on, her personally as a character.
Yeah,
I
and
can't root for
I'm
her
just like,
like,
she believed what she thought. And I'm okay with her. I kind of love this like drunk mom moment she's having right now. It's like seemingly like it's so funny. She gives no fucks in this episode, especially in the next scene. But I liked when she said the Viserys thing, because people keep bringing him up, and you know what? It doesn't fucking matter anymore. Like 80 years of peace. I inherit it. Fuck it. It's gone. Done.
I think I'm glad.
It's true.
I think I'm glad that we're done with the, is it
secret.
This? Is it that? I have intentions. It just feels better that, because Alicent does seem as a character And you could read it as it's purposeful because it's a stressful situation and there's a lot going on and there's no like handbook for this. But she does seem like someone who's flip-flopped a ton over, let's call it maybe the past 6 episodes, where like midway to like late-ish season 1, she's pretty gung-ho, like with Aegon, where he's like, she's telling him like, Rhaenyra's gonna kill you, like why, like none of this is a joke, where she seems very serious about the idea that Rhaenyra is a bad person and is going to kill her kids. And then she kind of flip-flops back the other way
Yeah.
at the dinner. And then she hears the Viserys thing. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, now we're kind of good. But then she still has the ruthless streak where she's like, well, we're going to win the war still. And then it's like, okay. But now it's like, okay, it feels like there's no turning back. Alicent is kind of going into this Team Green 100%, like let's kill them and win this shit. Let's bring home the trophy.
Doesn't that get contradicted by the fact that she is still trying to see if the prophecy is even a thing and Rhaenyra didn't just make that up? Like this next scene is going to be her talking. Well, I guess Aegon has to freak out at the small council.
I guess I'm just speaking overall. I think maybe this scene turned her off of her line saying that the significance of Viserys' intentions died with him. Like maybe that's her almost saying it out loud. Like, do you think, well, I guess she is looking for the book afterwards. You're so right. So
Let's talk it
maybe
through that then. Like, is there anything in the second small council room besides like you will all bore me when Aegon's like having his identity crisis again for like the 4th time, where he just does not appreciate the fact that he has no true power. And then he storms off and talks to Alicent in a great scene, I thought.
Yeah. The only thing to mention there
awesome.
is just that the council does not skip a beat without him there.
No.
Yeah. Just to keep taking it through then, when he does go and start drinking and complaining to his mom, Alicent is so on point here, where she says, like, I thought we trained you enough to basically listen to the smart people around you. You should have been listening to me and your grandfather Otto, because we are the ones that sacrificed everything to get you into the spot that you're currently in. And you just kind of threw that all away to just go out to be the young blood that's just trying to prove himself. This whole scene was amazing for Alicent. And don't hear what I'm not saying. Like, I still love seeing Alicent on screen. I just will never be rooting for her over Rhaenyra again. That's probably off the table for me, but I do think she's like so layered and compelling and important to keep my interest in Team Green. So like these type of scenes are so powerful for me. And I think she's so spot on. Like she deserves the respect to be one of the strategists and heads of Team Green, and Aegon's just not listening to her.
I hope moving forward, she is more aligned with maybe the book version of herself that is there's no qualms about anything that's happening. It's we're at war. We need to do what we need to do. Like we need to win. Like it's unfortunate in her eyes that Aegon is king, but that doesn't diminish her desire to win.
And I think the end of this episode will solidify that desire in her to all full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Luke, for the record, I agree with you on, I would never root for Alicent over Rhaenyra till I die forever. But I have a soft spot for Olivia Cook because hot damn. But,
of course.
Yeah. But, I mean, she said it both times. It hit me like a freight train, just being like, do simply what is needed of you. Nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. It's like, unless you wanted to actually try and be a good king, but you're not, you're being like, you're going about it the wrong way. But even when she was like, he's like, tread carefully. And she's like, or what? You're going to hang me like your rat catchers. You're going to banish me like your handlers. What else can I say bad about you? It's savage and it's good.
She had so many good quotes. That was one of them. And then she goes, do you think simply wearing the crown imbues you with wisdom? And she's like, seriously, are you fucking stupid?
Yeah. Good. Yeah. And she pretty much just calls him an idiot right to his face. And it's so great too, that the concept of Aegon being a figurehead and just chilling on the surface should fit in. That should be what he's going for, what he's looking for, the gravy train, baby. Like that should be right up his alley. But as we know, because the show has shown us this, and what I've repeatedly talked about me enjoying it, is just this complexity to his character where there's just this wound inside of him that needs this attention. It needs this recognition. It needs this desire to be loved and lauded and just recognized. and he can't just sit by and do nothing, even though on the surface it looks like that's really all he wants to do is do nothing, buy rounds out for the pubs and go see some live music with his boys and then hit, the Street of Silk on the way home a couple of times, bet on children with filed nails and teeth killing each other. That's like that's his bread and butter right there. But I just like the layered complexity to his character. Which just leads
he was a
this,
standout for this season.
Yeah, just this, and then convinces him essentially. She convinces by saying do nothing, she convinces him to do something. Which is him getting hammered and riding Sunfire and saddling up, baby.
I guess we can put a pin in that until we see him again.
Yeah,
which I guess is right in like 2 scenes. But
I wonder what song would be like the first song he would pop in his AirPods as he like flies away. Like, what's he riding into battle listening to?
Linkin Park.
No, he's not that cool.
Yeah,
probably some obscure, stupid stuff. What do alcoholics listen to? I don't know. Don't ask me. Okay, so let's move into Sir Kristen Cole. God damn, the GOAT. And I'm just a little peek behind the curtain. I am sweating, man. It's like 95 in Philly right now, and it is. We're feeling it.
I'm a little burnt. You can see the red on me, like from 4th of July. Yeah,
it feels like Vagar's hot breath every time I step outside my front door. Okay,
literally.
So this first scene is going to be Cole capturing Duskendale, which is the seat of House Darklyn, and just basically showing us Cole's about that business, baby. He won't back down. He'll drop a W slur on you. Can we get some W's in the chat or fake chat? Yeah. And just, I don't know what else to say besides he is just a one man. Well, not really a one man wrecking crew, but he's just like an arrow pointed and is just flying through the Crown Lands and just collecting W's, like I said earlier. And I mean, truth be told, I'm loving it.
He really is. I'm good though.
Yeah, that guy
I'm not praising him more.
No, me neither. But that guy got his licks in. He said, "You're not fit for the white cloak, my dude." Right before he got his head chopped. I like that.
Yeah. Lord Darklyn definitely got some good licks in at the end there. And just, this is maybe a little fun lore thing here. So Duskendale is the site or the location where Sir Barristan from Game of Thrones, he earned the moniker Barristan the Bold because so later on in Westeros, who is Daenerys' dad? What's his name? Aerys?
The Mad King?
The Mad King. The Mad King gets kidnapped by the Lord Darklyn of Duskendale because he has some sorceress wife that's whispering sweet nothings into his ear. And he's stuck there for like 6 months, and Sir Barristan sneaks in a one-man Mission Impossible Tom Cruise and sneaks him out. So they're like, Sir Barristan the Bold.
That's a good spin-off episode right there.
Yeah. And there was slightly more to that, which I totally forgot. And I closed all of my A Wiki of Ice and Fire tabs. So whatever. Yeah. Okay. So that is going to move us into Rook's Rest. And geez, just to maybe set the scene slightly, and then we'll just let all hell break loose. Cole is riding through camp outside of Rook's Rest and is like, all right, we're attacking right now in broad daylight. Gawain responds with, and I quote, "It's fucking madness." And Cole doesn't give a shit because he wants to ride, baby, to Valhalla. So they just start marching on Rook's Rest as a castle. And then we just see Meleys kind of fly over, start putting some people to the torch, and then just let it rip. Geez, this was a lot happens. We'll probably miss some things, but geez, just fantastic CGI is how I'll open.
Yep.
I'll start it off by pointing out 2 things that I noticed. I love how Cole alerts Aemond about the plans going. It's kind of the Lord of the Rings, like light the torches, and it like goes through all the mountains. They're blowing the horns to each other, so that was cool. But the other thing I wanted to point out was that I assumed after last episode that Gawain was going to be a puppy dog that listened and followed to Cole in any way possible. I'm happy he's keeping a little bit of independence. I didn't want that type of character for Alicent's brother, who should be like a knight that has some weight. So I'm happy that, and he even leads the charge into the castle after RHAENYS falls, so you can hear him in the background, or the subtitles say like charge. So I'm happy that he's still going to be like a relevant, independent entity rather than just owing Cole his life.
He was scared for a second though when Meleys showed up. He Gawain rips turn around. Is like, Cole, you motherfucker! I told you not to do this.
Yeah,
I would have done the same thing. I wouldn't have turned back around.
Yeah, I've been liking the discourse just on the dragon stuff, because if you watch the the house that dragons built is like a 25-minute episode they drop after every episode. It's like exactly they break down all the big scenes and how they did it. It's all about costuming and sets and everything about that. And Alan Taylor, the director, and I think he's like high up too, he's done a lot of the big gigantic Game of Thrones episodes as well, talked about just like how they studied birds of prey and how they fight each other or things like that, and that's how they did it. And I the house that dragons built has me just like my eyeballs are glued to the TV. It's so fucking good. If you're not watching that, go watch that. It's really good. Just on Max too. It's just like a separate TV show type thing. But yeah, it's just and I've been seeing so much of just like the dragons and how they make warriors feel. Like someone like Kristen Cole, who's like been in war. He thinks he's like such a good warrior, but as soon as the dragon shows up, it's like you're kind of useless, and it changes the entire game. And I just love looking at it through that lens, and it's fucking crazy. It's really crazy.
I mean, Bailey's comes in and she's just leaving like 300-yard streaks of black on the ground and just bodies. Like she comes through a couple times with passes before Sunfire's there, and that's hundreds of people. Just before anything can happen, you're just standing out in the field. It's like, okay, well,
and
damn.
Speaking of Sunfire, as like Sunfire's pulling up, like this is a complete shock to Cole. It's not part of the plan. Obviously, Aemon calls Vhagar off for a second just to let him go in and kind of be the first test dummy to see what RHAENYS has really got. I give it to Cole for his credit that he turned this random wrench in the plan into a rallying cry to then have the whole forces charge. So that was good. I hate him getting his W's, but he's been on a good streak, man. He's been on a good streak here.
Yeah. The Kingmaker is a badass nickname.
The one thing I really like, though, is that even when Aemon was breaking the plan and was pulling up, Cole says, "Where are you, Aemon?" Like he didn't want Aegon to get jumped. And Aemon's going rogue even more than going rogue to Aegon. Like this is just a whole, like kind of almost like a double betrayal here, because it pays off well at the last scene. But this was just the betrayal that I referred to at the beginning. Like Aemon, I don't know if he would have done this if he didn't get teased and messed with by Aegon in the whorehouse last episode. I even said, like, is he, I think I posed the question, is he crazy enough that he's going to kill Aegon just for doing that? And I think that was like the straw that broke the camel's back, man, because he just was, the second he saw he could help, they probably would have destroyed RHAENYS with 0 casualties, at least for the important people, if he just didn't wait for his time so he can steal the throne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aemon, go ahead, you go.
No, you're good. You had a thought.
I was going to say, this is my hot take. Vhagar is like way more agile than he should be. I think she is after all the tussles, Aemon, perfect hair, gorgeous. RHAENYS is like fucked up, like face full of ash. I wish that they just had Vhagar take a few hits or something, and because he's so fucking big. And my fiance has a 180-pound Rottweiler at her mom's house, and to watch this thing turn around, it has to like fully, like it needs the whole room to turn around. Like it can't move. And Vhagar's got that big fucking belly, and yet it is like ready to sneak attack and get off the ground at any time. And it was like almost the same exact thing as when Vhagar ate Luke, except Meleys is way bigger than Luke's dragon. He just ate Luke's dragon alive. But it was, I almost want to give Vhagar my LVP just because I'm like, she's just too big and like too good. You know what I mean?
I definitely have nothing to say in defense of the agility of these dragons, but you mentioned at the beginning of that you wish Vhagar got hurt more, and she did. She got slashed across the chest and was bleeding, so at least there was some damage. And I think that slash across the chest and like knocking Vhagar to the ground is what caused RHAENYS to turn around the last time, thinking that she had a legitimate shot. So I'll push back on that, but I also agree with you about like Vhagar's got holes in all of her wings. Like there should be some struggles there. So I agree with you, but it's dragons. I mean, come on, magic.
But Vhagar coming up from behind the trees again, that is like one of my favorite things when Vhagar just comes up from behind something. You're like,
yeah. And they're all at the battle. They're like, yeah, we got our dragon. And then Lord Staunton like is the only one that sees Vhagar and just is like, like mouth open, and then whatever maybe his son comes up to him and is like, yeah, let's get you inside, boss.
Because that'll save you.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing I'll comment on with the Vhagar thing is she doesn't really use speed to her benefit in this. It's more just her overwhelming size. Like when it's just Melees and Vhagar one-on-one, she just kind of grabs Melees with her bigger foot and then just won't let go. And then Melees kind of uses that to her advantage, almost in a grappling sense, where she then gets her claws into Vhagar's big tummy, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just like locked in, just like barbecuing each other in a circle. And they're just doing the same thing to each other. So it's kind of tough. And yeah, the whole surprise attack thing, I'm curious if you guys thought that she was like leaving. Was RHAENYS leaving? We were done, or was she just like circling back around? I know she was looking for Vhagar, but she was heading out that way. So I'm just curious of what you guys thought of that.
To me, I thought she was sticking around.
Yeah. And that's a complaint. And I actually talked about this with somebody in the Discord where
we had a big conversation about this in the Discord.
Yeah, man, if she just left after that second turnaround and just left, she at that point already basically maimed Aegon and Sunfire, and she scratched the hell out of Vhagar and basically grounded Aemon. If she left and she destroyed so many ground troops, I think she should have left. It would have been a win. Instead, she ended up causing more harm than she did good for Team Black when she made that last loop. And I guess it's more about the idea that she was sacrificing herself, and she's also kind of becoming a martyr for Team Black in this way. But I don't know. I think she should have preserved their biggest Team Black's biggest dragon by taking they absolutely would have won the day if she just left instead of turning around that final time. But that's, I don't know. At the same time, it was such good cinema that in the moment I didn't care as much. And it's also, you got to kind of write it for TV a little bit. I don't know if that's how it was in the book, but that definitely bothered me a little bit when she so clearly could have just left and it was just a huge net positive for Team Black.
There's some competing aspects there where the Melees is canonically the fastest dragon. So you could think that she could just get away if she wanted to. And in the books specifically, there is a line that says, Princess RHAENYS made no attempt to flee. With a glad cry and a crack of her whip, she turned Melees towards the foe. Against Vhagar, this is where it gets kind of interesting of how they did it and depicted it. Excuse me, because it says, against Vhagar alone, she might have had some chance, but against Vhagar and Sunfire together, doom was certain. The dragons met violently 1,000 feet above the field of battle as balls of fire burst and blossomed, so bright that men swore later that the sky was full of suns. The crimson jaws of Melees closed around Sunfire's golden neck for a moment, till Vhagar fell upon them from above. All three beasts went spiraling toward the ground. They struck the ground so hard that stones fell from the battlements of Rook Rest half a league away. Those closest to the dragons did not live to tell the tale. And then essentially it's just that Vhagar and Aemon are the only ones that got up from that.
They should have done that. Not that what we got was bad, but three of them like fighting and falling would have been unbelievable to see on TV.
Yeah, and RHAENYS is burnt to a crisp in the books. They even I might read the right words here. Where it's just like I don't even know. I can't find the words right now, but it's just like they're pretty much saying like they just assumed the body was hers because who else would have been that burnt?
Closer to the dragon.
Yeah,
damn,
so
dude, that's crazy.
It's such a weird thing for me because I love the idea that in reality it was Aegon drunkenly showing up. It wasn't part of the plan, but the way that the histories get recorded afterwards, it was like, oh yeah, the plan was to have two dragons.
Yeah.
Just jump them. Like no one running around in the field of battle would have known any different. They would have assumed that this was the plan. Only three people. Nice.
I did see that on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's basically what Aegon looks like at the end of this episode.
Yeah. So that's, I don't know. It's kind of hard. There were some things that like were fun that they changed because of the whole unreliable narrator thing. And then this part felt, as I was watching it, so maybe that's my baby hot take, and that there felt like the choreography that they chose just opens them up to these questions like you're saying of, why did she turn around again? How did it just end up this way? How can Vhagar again sneak attack from behind the castle type stuff? So it's kind of a bit of a called a quagmire.
for those good relationship moments between Rhaenys and I can never remember her dragon's name.
Meleys.
Where they had that moment looking at each other like, let's do this. We're gonna end this together. And then she locks in. So
Yeah.
I saw two takes on the locking in part. And the way I took it was she locked in knowing she's gonna be going upside down. There's gonna be crazy spiraling. She doesn't want to fall off the dragon. She wants to attack Vhagar head on. That's how I took it. Some people were saying it was her just basically just giving into the idea that she's not leaving this place and she's
Like a
dying with the
suicide bomb.
dragon. Yeah. So I took it as the first one. Like, but I will say, Kyle, you were pointing out how in the book, if Rhaenys was by herself, I felt it came across that she would have beaten Vhagar by herself.
Again, how much of an authority is this Grand Maester that wrote the book to say that? But the idea being that Meleys is the fastest dragon, Rhaenys is pretty battle hardened. This would have been an interesting competition, I think, for sure.
I thought
like
she was the best.
Yeah, I think they showed it that it wasn't like Vhagar completely overpowered her in the 1v1. It seemed like I said, Meleys rebounded well to getting clawed up and captured like that. But then, yeah, the move from underneath the castle cliff is just kind of, it's the shock value factor.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned in the Discord as well of like, I saw it coming from a mile away. It's just, it's hard maybe to choreograph all of this stuff to tell like a story, and all of the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and we don't have any questions afterwards. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, people were entertained. Things make sense to a degree. That's enough. And I guess I'm satisfied. I don't want to.
It wasn't like The Long Night where you kind of still were entertained watching it, and then the more you think about it, it becomes trash. It was not like that at all. Like it wasn't it wasn't to that level. But switching gears for one question I had while we're on this topic, did we know that dragon blood was like acidic?
I don't know how much they ever mention it, but they talk about it, I think, a little bit in the books.
Okay, because that
was cool,
like was completely surprising when all the soldiers started like freaking out. As I think that was actually Sunfire, that when Sunfire had the chest ripped and was
actually
over.
Vhagar's belly, wasn't it?
No, Sunfire has where she's like almost falling and then she recovers.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's the time. Yeah,
dude.
I mean, it makes sense. Their bellies are just at some level a furnace. There's some type of fire creation going on, so they're just pumping all this hot boiling blood around.
Man, I get so sad thinking you said it earlier, Kathleen. These dragons are like dogs, like where I don't care whose side. If the dragon is hurting, I'm hurting internally, and it's just so sad to see because they're also smart, so they're understanding. It was just a beautiful moment for Rhaenys to go out.
Sunfire was squealing almost.
So hard to listen to, especially the second time when she's just falling. And I think Sunfire is the one whose wing Alicent was kind of referring to, because that didn't happen to Rhaenys' dragon.
Meleys had Sunfire's whole right wing like crunched up into her mouth.
Yeah.
Do they heal well? The dragons like rally?
Find out. I guess we'll find out. I mean,
I guess that's
Sunfire at the end, what we can move into. So we probably covered as much as we could conceivably about that without spending an actual hour on the fight. But anything we missed, obviously, join our Discord. Join the YouTube comments. Let us know. Let us know we're dumb, but don't be that mean about it. And so the aftermath here is Cole waking up. So he gets knocked out by Vhagar initially falling to the ground because that's a big mama. And he wakes up, finds Aegon. Aemon's already there. And Aemond is sheathing his sword before Cole gets there. So what are our thoughts?
He wasn't killing him.
Yes. Okay. Because I think some people, I don't want to say miss that, but we're just assuming that Aemon was going to kill him and then Cole showed up. But I thought that they deliberately showed us that was not the case.
What was he doing with it then?
I think he was just walking around with it like someone could come up at any point. I think he was just like.
And then realized it was just Aegon and Sunfire were there. Yeah.
Exactly. He was cheating it for sure.
He did go pick up the blade, the prophecy blade, and something I saw right before I joined here, like somebody tweeted it saying when Cole comes over, he's like, "Where's the king? Where's the king?" And he uses the blade to point at Aegon on the ground, which is like a cool little touch.
Yeah.
Like assuming, like, okay, I mean, we're gonna have to talk about this, but like, I'm assuming that the dragon's gonna live, and if Aegon's not dead yet, like I think he will be dead very soon. What if he is coherent enough to say what happened? I can't even imagine how Team Green's going to react when he accuses Aemon of having almost killed him. I don't know if he'll even ever wake up if he's not already dead and like the next scene isn't a funeral for him. But that's just something to think about. Like, is Cole going to betray him? Because Cole might have seen what happened. Like, everybody was there, kind of probably saw what happened.
So Aegon is wearing Aegon the Conqueror's Valyrian steel full armor. So
That's true.
everything but the face is covered, and I don't know what the fuck that means. Like we saw the guy charred within his own armor, like in a scene before. Like Kristen's like, we have to get to, to the king, and but this is Valyrian steel, so it's obviously like the best of the best. Like again, in that the House of Dragons made, they'd say that it was like a weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks it took to make that armor for Aegon, which is awesome. So if anything's gonna save him, like I'm glad he was wearing, and he was fucking drunk as a skunk, man. He could shake it off, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting though that Dragonfire, if I'm not mistaken, is what you need to forge Valyrian steel.
Ooh, so it would like melt
the only way to
down
make
or
it
something.
malleable is Dragonfire.
Interesting.
So is there a connection there? He seemed to be pretty chillin'. He seemed to be lying peacefully, let's say. Didn't seem like there was any discernible injuries or marks on him. He just looked like he was kicking it almost. Sunfire was very much alive, though. They made a point to have Sunfire like kind of breathing, and you heard the sound and the movement and things like that. So,
but out of commission,
like Luke
for the time being with the wing.
Yeah. I don't know if they got a Grand Maester, whatever it is. I don't know if he's Orwell. I think he's Orwell. Maybe he's going to have to get rushed over there and be like, yo, bro.
I have two big questions for you both. One, and they lead into each other. One is, how do you think Cole thought the day went after all of that? I mean, he obviously he is the hand of the king and sworn shield to Alicent, but he's head of the King's Guard, whatever. Aegon is fried to shit sitting next to him. Two, where does the day net out? Team green, team black? If you're one or the other, how much are you one or the other?
My take on that would be this is fat Team Green W. But I think when all is said and done, they start sitting down and doing a little calculus. I mean, Rhaenys and Meleys are done. Vhagar and Aemond are fairly unscathed. Aegon and Sunfire are injured. Well, Sunfire specifically is injured, but is Sunfire out for the count? Aegon's death or not, does it really matter? I mean, they spent the whole episode telling us that he's useless, so
yeah. I definitely think it's a heavy Team Green win. And for your first question, though, I kind of am starting to think that there was a little bit of a parallel going on between Kristen Cole and Alicent, where it seemed like Cole didn't understand the true implications of what Dragon Battle was like and what he's really leading the whole continent of Westeros towards. So, but at the same time, I'm saying he's a parallel with Alicent, where the ball's kind of rolling too far, where you can't back out now. Like, we kind of just have to lean in. So regardless of how you feel about it, like if Alicent actually does feel bad about starting all this, like Kristen Cole could also have that feeling after seeing why dragons going to war is a loss for everybody. So that would be a fun character development trait that he could go, or a path he could go along if he does start to be a little bit more remorseful. I don't know if he will. He's a pretty big asshole, so that probably won't happen. But your second part of the question, definitely Team Green walks away as a huge winner of today.
Yeah. What if the next scene for him is him just walking through the camp going, woo! Let's do it again, baby.
I wish I could gauge, like, Cole's army tripled in size. Okay. Then Meleys came and fucked them all up. Vhagar stomping on everybody. It's like, what is the foot traffic now? Like human beings.
We have an accounting specifically that the book says that 800 knights and squires and common men lost their lives that day. Another 100 perished not long after.
Dragon,
but like of how many? Like 5,000, 2,000? You know what I mean? Like
they don't really give a ton of like those types of numbers. But we do know. I mean, we have some type of relevance where the Blackwoods maybe have 30,000, or is it the Brackens that have 30,000? So
that matters.
Yeah. That
We're
totally
getting the
matters. That's like
Blackwood's on
the
our
point.
side.
Yeah, the point of the show. It totally matters. Well, we'll find out. Tune in next week on
I can't wait.
HBO's House of the Dragon.
All right, Kyle, you're first. Actually, this time we talked about it before you jumped on. You're gonna give your MVP and LVP.
Okay, so I guess before we do that, or maybe I'll take the low. Oh, no, we'll do a little Rainy send off because I don't think I want to pick her as my MVP. So just to read directly from the words of, we'll call it even the Holy Book, Fire and Blood. Beloved daughter of Lady Jocelyn Baratheon and Prince Aemon Targaryen, faithful wife to Lord Corlys Velaryon, mother and grandmother, the queen who never was, lived fearlessly, and died amidst blood and fire. She was 55 years old. Rip to the legend.
That hurts.
Legend.
Rip to the legend.
Absolute legend.
Faithful wife to Lord Corlys Velaryon. Book it. It's written in ink. So my MVP is going to be Sir Kristen Cole. He's just the man. I don't know what else to say, dude. He just stacks W's. Like the plan worked out. Even the Aegon's wrinkle didn't matter because they just, like you said, the way he just got everyone back together. He invokes the seven and how it's like Aegon's anointed and like they're blessed this day. And then everyone, even after seeing these huge football fields worth of people get burned, like they're still turning right around and charging back into the breach. He's finding Aegon and he's finding the king. It just, he takes down Duskendale. They're just, all they do this whole episode is gas him up. So it would be, I would be remiss as the resident Kingmaker stan not to have him be MVP in an episode like this. So I'll take the Kingmaker as my MVP. Then my LVP is going to be Aegon. Just tough. That's all I'll say there. That's just what a tough showing for our guy. Just belittled at every turn, barbecued by his brother. His cool looking dragon gets all messed up. I mean, I cannot think of a worse day for him possible.
I'm going to go second here, and I have nothing interesting to say here. If you're not taking RHAENYS as your MVP, I'm taking RHAENYS as the MVP. I already said it a bunch of times. She's just now like probably a top 7 Game of Thrones universe character for me of all time, and she deserves it. This was her swan song. It was amazing. Now my LVP, because it should have been Aegon, is going to be, and I can't really think of another good one. I'm going to pick Rhaenyra solely for the fact that she didn't send more dragons to protect RHAENYS. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Because this could have been a resounding Team Black win if hypothetically all 4 of the dragons that were sitting in that council room just went. Like,
oh my god, can you imagine all 4 of them showing up to Rook's Rest?
That's what I'm saying, dude. Vhagar would be dead.
Yeah.
Aegon and Aemon would be dead. Kristen Cole would be dead. Gawain would be dead. Oh god.
I really want to see Rhaenyra fight on her dragon too. Like I will be so upset if for some reason we don't get that in the series at some point. I would be fucking upset. I want to see
Don't
that.
speak that into existence.
All right. So my MVP is going to be Melyse. Love that girl. I loved that, all the looks we got.
Queen.
Like I said. What'd you say?
The Red Queen.
Is that what they call the dragon?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. Just like the look at the last look, like, what are we doing, mama? And Rainey's like, turn it around, bitch. We're going. Agree with Luke. I mean, Eve Best, like, girl, you made me feel things. What an excellent showing. And, anything that she's in or has been that I find her in for the rest of my life, I will stand forever. So Eve Best, atta girl. Melyse, go off. My LVP, I have 3 people written. I have Kristen Cole, which was taken. Ridiculous. I have Vhagar, which I'm not going to give it because it's not Vhagar's fault. Right. They get written by who they got written by. Okay. So I'm going to give it to Damon, almost like the same reason why you gave it to Rhaenyra and like, go help the cause, my guy. Yeah. Go figure it out. Take Caraxes and get the fuck out of that spooky ass Luigi mansion. So that's who I got. R.I.P. What a great episode. And a fun one to talk about with you guys.
Best of the season series. House of Dragon, that is.
Yeah.
That's high praise. I don't know if I'm there with it, but it's damn close. It's probably 2. I don't know. Maybe I want to be a contrarian, but that is going to do it for our coverage of episode 4 of House of the Dragon. the Red Dragon and the Gold. And now I'm looking at the time. I am 15 minutes late for my family book club. So keeping it quick, keeping it tight, keeping it hot, keeping it sexy. If you like what you heard, follow us, subscribe on whatever you're listening or watching on. We're coming here every week with these episodes. House of the Dragon, we're loving it. And join the Discord if you want to maybe get a shout out or just have fun with us from every other day of the week that you're not listening to an episode of us, which hopefully is every day. Okay, so last but not least, we are Bingetown TV, and thank you so much for listening.